Hello and welcome to episode 27 of the Sportscast podcast. This week we have a look back at the week's snooker with the opening of the UK Championship, the season finale at Abu Dhabi, and this weekend's return of full fixture list, and a little look at what would be our Premier League fantasy five-side. James, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. You?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Okay.
How much have you caught over the weekend?
I've had a bit of a busy weekend this weekend, if truth be told, so I've not caught a great deal. I was having a little glance at the football yesterday, but other than that, not a massive amount.
Well, I'll quickly knock off the Formula One just because Abu Dhabi is my least favourite race of the year. I don't believe that you get to this stage. There was only really one real fight for anything this weekend. So obviously it saw the Grand Prix go to Middle East again, down in Abu Dhabi. We had, quickly get it over, Max in pole, Leclerc second, Piastri third. Lando was on for a pole, but had a bit of a slide and qualified fifth behind George Russell. Alex Albon out-qualified his teammate yesterday, which meant he had a 22-0 for the season. So he's the only one to out-qualify. He's the first one to out-qualify his teammate since Max Verstappen out-qualified him in the Red Bulls. But that was only, I think it was a 17-race season. This is a 22 race. So he's just completely annihilated his teammate all season. You can handle coming down the pack. You just got to beat your teammate, and you've been out qualified 22 times this season. So,
to be fair, he's pretty much annihilated everybody on the grid, hasn't he, all season, regardless of who it is.
Yeah,
it's
not been enjoyable for me. He won today, so he did take the win today. Quite sort of straightforward.
Has he won every race, or pretty much out of the 22?
19 out of the 22, yeah.
I mean,
so
you've said it before and whatnot. Formula One isn't really my forte or my thing, but I mean that if you are a big Formula One fan, there must be a point where you start to think, do you know what, this is getting a bit tedious now.
So I see a lot online where they sort of say, well, Lewis, dominated for a period of time, but he didn't win everything. He did win a couple of titles back to back, but he had more competition. The final drivers' construction point, final drivers' points, Max Verstappen won with 575 points. Sergio Perez came second with 285, double second place.
Yeah,
that's beyond, And I've said before and saying to Jordan quite a lot, I'm starting to fall out of love with F1. Not because Lewis isn't performing, because I have grown up. I saw an article on him when he was karting and kept tabs on him then, and I just love him. But it's the way the rules are changing in free practice. Yes, he didn't get much running because he didn't run FP1, but in FP2, he tries to overtake in the pit lane. It's not as safe to do it where it was. So instead of penalising him, they changed the rules back to that you can't do it. Well, they only changed it to that you could do it was because he was the one that was holding everybody up. And now he's the one getting held up. They've changed the rules back because Max isn't happy. And just his terminology, he has to let me pass in the pit lane. Can he not see me coming? He has to let me pass. No, he
don't. So, that's the idea, isn't it, of racing?
Well, it's in the pit lane and
practice, okay.
But he does say that. He does say that. He said it last week when he clashed with Russell in Vegas as well.
Right.
It's just that, the FIA are changing rules for him, so now he does believe he can go and do what he wants and as he wants. But
there's been lots of talk over the years, isn't there, about shaking up Formula One in regards to. How many points do they get for a win?
It's 25 for a win now, but an extra point if you have the fastest lap as well.
Okay, so what about changing the point system where you don't get as, I mean, you get as many, because I mean that's just embarrassing, isn't it? 500 odd. It's a bit weird, but there was a lot of talk a few years ago. I remember listening to on sports radio stations and whatnot about, if you're the fastest car, you start further down the thing to make further down the.
Yeah, the problem you have is the way the cars are designed. They struggle to follow one another. They've changed like the width of the rear wing to allow closer racing and things like that. But once you get in the dirty air behind another car, it's very difficult to follow it. So don't get me wrong, Max has started 12th this season and won a race. That does happen, but that's because his car is just so dominant.
But I reckon that race was quite exciting to watch, wasn't it? Watching him come through the.
Yes, but when you expect it to happen, it's not as exciting. I remember Jenson Button in Canada. I want to say he was racing for McLaren at the time, but it could have been when it was Brawn. Something happened. The rain come. He span out back of the pack. The rain came down, and he weaved his way in to win the race. Now that is incredible, But when you win 19 out of 22 races and you start 12th, and you're probably still the fastest car by seconds on, I mean, today he won by 17.9 seconds. The lap is the fastest lap was 1:26. So he's over 10%. He's probably 15% quicker than every other car. So, every other car. I mean, so 17 seconds would have covered the next 5 places as well. So 17 seconds back to Leclerc, and then 17 seconds back again would have covered the next 5 places. 6 if you'd have taken it to 20 seconds. So it is a bit silly, but he won today. Go on, I'm sorry. I'll say no. I
was going to say no. If you carry on with Verstappen.
I was going to say so. No, he won today. Charles Leclerc got second. George Russell third. Perez took a penalty, which dropped him to 4th. Lando Norris 5th. Piastri 6th. Which means, and because of how that finished today, there was a bit of a dubious around the constructors. Mercedes did beat Ferrari to second in the constructors. And I think, for me, again, I think that's where the change comes. The change comes in the constructors' championships. So what they do now is they add each driver's points together. Well, if Max is getting 500 points, Max would have still won the constructors' championship without Perez. So I think you should get points based on a combination of your driver's points.
So do they get like in regards to the constructors thing, does it depend on how well you do? Does it matter on funding for the next season? Does that?
Yes. Or is that it is. Yeah. So
this is where it's wrong, isn't it? Because your fastest car, who might get say 100 million for winning the constructors thing, so they're going to get 100 million to make their car faster next year, but they're already the fastest. Whereas those at the bottom are never ever going to be able to catch up, are they?
Yeah, exactly. And so the argument is, and I think me and Jordan had a conversation on it sort of a month or so ago, where they should change the way the points run. So you should do it where you look at where your drivers come, and you should. So let's say Max comes first, Perez crashes out, so Max gets 25 points. But say Ferrari gets second and third, so they get 18 and 15 points. They get 33 points. But so they should get 10 points. Max should get 9 points, or get 10 points. Red Bull get 9 points, and it should be on your driver's total, not on. Does that make sense? So instead of it being,
it does make sense.
Red Bull got 860 points. They've won it on 807. Mercedes 409. Like that's just it's not as fun for me, but that's and it is very difficult. Just dead quick. Snooker UK Championship is back. One of my favourite tournaments, held at the York Lyceum. I went. I love it there. I absolutely love going there. Mark Allen, last year's winner, loses to Ding Junhui 6-5, who is battling illness, and that game is a repeat of last year's final, where Mark Allen was 6-1 down, and he came back to win 10-7. So a big game for the first round.
Is it the first round? Is it? Wow.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, started yesterday. Mark Williams will play Jamie Clark in the next round. Jamie Clark beat Kyron Wilson, which is a big result. Luca Bressel is playing at the minute. He's the reigning world champion until we go into obviously Sheffield in April time. It's always over Easter, so whenever Easter falls this year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that'll be my next couple of weeks taken care of. But football, the first bit of football is Wales get Finland in the playoffs.
Finland. Oh, I didn't realize. I haven't seen that yet. It's Finland.
Yeah,
Okay.
Finland, yeah. And if they win, I think they play the winner of Poland and someone. So
Okay.
not the easy. I mean, Finland.
I'll say, what do we think on that? What do we think on currently on the Welsh national team? I know since Gareth Bale has retired from international football, do you not think it is showing that Wales were a one player team? But it doesn't seem that the camaraderie within the Welsh team is there at the moment. They seem very, very lethargic in how they're playing.
I don't think that's a. I don't think that's a Gareth Bale thing. I had this conversation with someone actually Friday. Bale got very greedy for Wales, and he didn't allow much of a team effort. I think it's Rob Page.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I mean, he done wonders. He was a god within Wales, wasn't he? When Wales qualified for the Euros a few years ago, but I just don't think he's kind of kept up with the hype. I just think he's very out of touch with modern football.
Yeah, and I think the problem is we lost Bale, we lost Joe Allen. You know, Aaron Ramsey's got to be about 48 now, hasn't he? So I just and the pool of players we're fishing from now, you know, Joe Williams, they sit around League One, you know, and you're not going to beat. You might beat Finland, but I'm pretty sure it's Poland in the next round. I don't think you're going to beat Poland in the final of the playoff, and that's
you're not. No. Does Lewandowski still play international football for Poland?
Yeah, he does, and he's still scoring, you know, for Barcelona. So, you know, you can't. I mean, our centre back's Joe Rondon. He left Tottenham. He's gone to Leeds. You know, he's in the Championship, and you're against Lewandowski. You kind of the only silver line at the minute is Brennan Johnson is playing well for Tottenham. There's not really much else. Kiefer Moore's going to be leaving. I think he's at Rangers, isn't he? Or he's been looking at getting a move back down a league so that he can get a bit more game time. He went Bournemouth, I think. He's still not.
He was at Bournemouth, yeah. Kiefer Moore,
yeah. He's just not getting enough game time. So that's where we're at. But this weekend's football, where should we start? I think it's actually been really interesting.
Do you know what? I don't think you're far wrong there. I think yesterday's results show a lot in it. I mean, with the big game yesterday, we'll start with the early one at 12:30. That was being hyped up to be an absolute belter of a game. You got two teams on form, coming back from a bit of an international break. You know, everyone was predicting goals, and it was going to be out of this world, and it was just crap.
Just a bit.
But it was crap. It was a 1-1 draw. It was nice to see Haaland playing because he got injured, didn't he, at international Norway. So it was good to see him playing. But it was almost like once it got the 1-1, both teams seemed to just think, right, well, we're happy with that. We'll just.
So I know
they both just
I know you
didn't bothered. No.
And today, when I watched the highlights, Man City had a goal chalked off at 1-0 for a foul on Alisson. And
I saw that this morning on Match of the Day, and I just think I know that goalkeepers do get a little bit of protection, but I mean there was nothing in it.
That's horrific.
It was almost it just brushed his arm across him.
Yeah.
It was almost like he's realised he's made a mistake, he's spilled the ball, and he's played on that, knowing that because contact has been made and it's a goalkeeper, it's guaranteed to be chalked off. And I think that's wrong.
So I don't know if you saw, I think it was Monday night, North Macedonia. That's how North Macedonia got their penalty. Someone's gone up for a header, and as he's come down, his arms brushed the North Macedonian player, and he's got a penalty for as much as that yesterday. So really soft, but it was.
It is,
I think these big games, you don't see the big scorelines, and you got that. I think the two teams probably battling it out for 5th and 6th that played yesterday, and that was a big scoreline.
Newcastle game. I tell you what, Newcastle ain't half impressive, isn't they, at a minute?
I've always enjoyed Eddie Howe, and he's gone there, bit of money, couple of really good players, and I don't think it's just the money. I think before they had a chance to really spend that money, he got them out of the relegation fodder and competing again. So
they got some good players like Ramirez and Longstaff and people like that. I mean, I'm really liking what Eddie Howe's doing up at Newcastle at the moment. And, the fact that he got back into Europe, all right, their European campaign didn't go overly well, but you know what? That's the first time they've been in Europe for 20 years or whatever it was.
Oh, gotta be, 25 years.
So I mean, all right, wasn't successful, didn't go to plan, but they've now gained that experience, so they can go on next year and use that next year. So I'm really looking forward to how Newcastle do, and I think Newcastle. I said at the beginning of the season, I think they're going to finish top 4. Again.
I think they'll be the one. Them and Chelsea, although Chelsea are still down there, I think under Poch, I think they'll come good, and I think they'll be flirting. But then Villa and Brighton have been playing well. Yeah.
I think if you still had Abramovich in charge of Chelsea, I don't think Poch will be there at the minute. I think they would have got rid of him early on.
But then I'd be saying that they're crazy to do so. I think it's one of the best managers in the league. So
I think
there's a lot going on behind the scenes. They've got a lot of players on massive contracts, 8-year contracts on $200,000 a week, so they just can't be bothered to play.
Yeah, to be fair, if you were in their position, would you?
I wouldn't be bothered if I was sat in 10th place playing Champions League football. I think it's there's a couple of the younger ones, and I mean they've been a bit unlucky. They got that Fofana from Leicester, exciting left back, and he's been non-stop injured, and they have got a couple of bits out. But I
mean, their main striker, what's his name? Bloody
Jackson, Nicholas Jackson.
I mean, if that is your go-to striker as a supposedly top shelf, top tier Premiership team, if that is your option, then you're thrown in the towel already.
Yeah, I think. I mean, they've spent an awful lot of money, and I'm not sure if they've spent a lot of it wisely. I mean, Sanchez, their keeper's on loan from Brighton. He's not even. They don't have a first team owned keeper. It's because Kepa's at.
Rail, isn't he?
It's Rail. Yeah, he's back up to Courtois, isn't he? But I think he's on loan as well, so he will come back. But I
hope so. Go on.
I was going to say Luton managed to pick up 3 points at.
That's what I was going to say. We all know Luton are going back down. That was from the minute they got promoted last year. They were going back down. They had a lot of challenges coming up to the Premier League in regards to making sure that their stadium was sufficient enough to play. I think they top out their attendance about, is it 12,000, 11,500, 12,000? So they're not it's not a massive ground, and it's well publicised that the away fans have got to walk through people's back gardens to get into the stands. So it's not. Luton are definitely going back down, in my opinion, but. I love an underdog story, and I love to see them pick up points at these established Premier League teams like Palace, like they did. They pick up a point at United as well, didn't they? At Old Trafford. And, I'm so glad, I'm so happy to see a team like Luton, which were 5, 6, 7 years ago playing in the conference. Picking up wins in the Premier League. I think it's phenomenal, and looking down at that relegation zone with your Luton Town, and unfortunately, Luton are not quite in the relegation zone, but down that end, with Everton, which is unfortunate,
Sheffield United,
and Sheffield United, Burnley, which are propping up the Premiership were looking yesterday stone cold on for a win at home to West Ham United, which are no pushover. And it was I think it was an 86th minute own goal, which, lost them 2 points, but a point still, when you're bottom of the table, a point is a good point.
Yeah.
To then lose it in the 91st minute and end up losing all 3 points, it just shows that I think Burnley are a good team. I don't think Vincent Kompany is a good manager or coach.
Yeah, I think again, it's a little bit, obviously, I'm based in Doncaster. I catch Doncaster Rovers an awful lot. A few years ago, they went down to League Two, and Darren Ferguson had them, and they ballsed up promotion there. And it was one of those where a man with a white stick could have taken Doncaster up that year. Burnley last year, anyone could have probably taken them up. But it's doing that and sustaining it. I think that's where the struggle's been. So, but Arsenal left it late, but Kai Havertz again,
Didn't they just?
Yeah, Kai Havertz is key.
A lot of people, including myself, were a bit sceptical during the transfer window when they took on Kai Havertz, and because he didn't really shine at Chelsea, and you kind of look at him, and they paid out some top dollar for him.
60 million, 60 million.
You know what I mean? That's not pocket change, and you're looking at that and you're thinking, when you look at all the top leagues in the world, that's what you're going for.
Yeah.
But I kind of see what they were going for with Havertz, with the loss of Granit Xhaka going, which I was a massive fan of Granit Xhaka. I loved his.
He had a good couple of years as well.
Yeah, he did. That last season he had at Arsenal, he was a different player. But I see why they went for Havertz, because he's very similar to him.
Yeah.
But they did leave it late, very late. And all right, you're now top of the Premiership, only, because of what happened in the half-12 kickoff.
Yeah.
But if you want to stay at the top of that Premiership, as an Arsenal fan saying this, you cannot leave it late against teams like Brentford, or when you're going away to Bournemouth or Brighton and Hove Albion, you cannot leave that late. You need to get that game signed, sealed, delivered before the hour mark.
Yeah.
So you can, cement your place there. So yes, they got a result. It's a good result because Brentford are not a shit team at home. They're a good team, but leaving it until the 80th minute, 85th minute or something, you just can't do that.
No.
But
quick rundown of the other leagues. Good result for Blackburn away at Stoke. Bolton beat Exeter 7-0.
Yeah. Was that Bolton, wasn't it?
Yeah. Bolton, beat Exeter 7-0. The big. Go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say Bolton are not doing too bad at the moment.
Top of league, top of league at the minute.
Yeah.
So
they're doing well.
The big League Two. So Notts County lose to AFC Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Mansfield lose 2-1 and Stockport lose 2-1 to Newport. And with Wrexham 6-0 at Morecambe with a Paul Mullin hat-trick.
Yeah, that puts Wrexham up in the top three now, doesn't it?
Yeah,
promotion.
Exactly. Yeah. And Stockport, Mansfield, Notts County are probably, with Wrexham, are probably the 4 teams to be battling it out. So 3 of them losing and Wrexham taking the winnings is
how good will that be? I mean, I know a lot of people throughout the UK and the rest of the world as well are keeping eyes on Wrexham because of the documentary on Disney Plus. And I'll be honest with you, up until I watched that, I'd never even had a look at how Wrexham were doing, so I've kind of jumped on that wagon as well.
I had a football manager team a few years ago, and I went about 40 years managing Wrexham, winning absolutely everything that was available.
I reckon Phil Parkinson could probably go 40 years if he had it in him, but because what he's doing there, but. I mean, it is. I know you've got the Hollywood A-listers in charge of them, but it is like a Hollywood script, isn't it? At the moment, if they get back-to-back promotions,
and it's being run correctly, that's the other thing. It's not.
Yeah.
They're not just throwing 10. They're not just throwing 10 million at it. They've made sure it's sustainable.
For years to come. Who's the guy in the background running it? What's his name? Sean?
Oh, I can't remember. Yeah.
He used to have a big deal with Coventry, didn't he? He used to be involved with Coventry and that. But I mean, he's doing really well. The CEO who's there, that young lady who used to run Burton Albion with her dad as well.
Yeah,
You know, it's
they've got the
being
right
run
people in
very,
it,
very
doing the
well.
right thing. So
Yeah.
one thing we did mention yesterday, and we didn't really talk about because we said we were going to hold off till tonight, is our Premier League fantasy five-a-side. Now, what I've tried to do with this, I haven't picked my 5 best players from the Premier League, you know, because I've tried to look at it from a five-a-side perspective.
Do you know what? I have done pretty much the same.
So, in goal, I think one of the best Premier Leagues of all time is Schmeichel, Van der Sar. But in a five-a-side, they're not right. So I've gone with Fabian Barthez.
Yeah, nice. I like him.
I think he'll be brilliant. And then you've got big man at the back that can play, Ledley King.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Short,
he was good when he led the King.
Get him fit. Get him fit.
Yeah.
League will have ever seen.
I listened to the Peter Crouch podcast, and he talks a lot about Ledley King. So he was good friends with Ledley King, and he says the same thing. Where if Ledley King had stayed fit throughout his career, he would have been hands down the best England defender that had ever lived, and possibly one of the best defenders in the world. You know, up there with your Roberto Carlos and
Stamos,
people like that. He was phenomenal. He was just damned with injuries.
Exactly. Middle at park, short, sharp passer, Claude Makelele.
Yeah.
Up front, this is where it gets a bit. One of them people agree with. One of them people are going to say, "What on earth?" Adel Tarabat, who was at QPR. He was called Adel Tarabat. I've probably pronounced it. He was at QPR.
I know you mean.
Really tricky. If he was Egyptian, really tricky player. It was a little bit like Berbatov, very, very lazy. And he just never progressed. But his ball at feet was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I just think he's just one of the most underrated Premier League players, or one of the biggest waste of talents the Premier League's seen. But as a five-a-side,
do you think he's a waste of talent because he was such talent, but he was at a club like, with all due respect, QPR?
No, I think he had a bit of an ego problem, and I think it just he knew he was good and he was too good for QPR, but people don't like that, and I think they didn't want to integrate him into their teams. I think that was always his problem.
Yeah.
And then the last but not least, because I think he would dominate any five-a-side, Wayne Rooney.
What's that?
Yeah, that'd be my 5.
I must admit, I've never been a big fan of Wayne Rooney. I don't know why. I've never really. It's almost like he got signed by United because he scored a wonder goal against Arsenal, and he just happened to go into a team, that United team at the time, that made him look better than what he was.
I watched or listened to a podcast, and they were talking about this, and Wayne Rooney was on the lips of many top scouts from the age of 11, 12-year-old.
Right.
So it was. I can't remember who it was, but they went into Everton. But I don't think it will have been. It would have been David Moyes. He went into Everton, and they said on his second day in the club, you need to come down and see this youngster in the youth team. This is what you've got to look forward to.
Okay, so one thing I didn't say to you yesterday in regards to this five-a-side team, and I wanted to spring it on you so you could come out with it on the cusp. Yep. All right, like I'm going to do this as well at the same time as you. So you've got your five-a-side team, brilliant team, but 2 of them players are going to get injured.
Okay.
Who are your subs? Your 2 subs?
Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what? I nearly put Ashley Cole in.
Yeah.
Because phenomenal at the back, and he could go forward, but you'd have to get Lampard or Gerrard, wouldn't you? Because you get a bit of flexibility with them.
Yeah. No. That's fair.
Go on, then hit me with your 5 and your 2 subs.
So, my my five, I thought I'd gone similar to you, but now you've said those names, you're picking out names I've not heard for a bloody age. So mine is comprised of players from a different era in football when it was still Premier League, but when we're going back to two of these players when the Premier League started. So in goal, I have gone with Mr. Safe Hands himself, Mr. David Seaman.
Yeah.
I just think, joining Arsenal in 1990 and playing for 13 years with over 400 caps, and part of that invincible team, winning 4 FA Cups, 3 titles, is just phenomenal. And, all right, with an invincible team, you need goals. But to stay invincible, you've got to save them as well. So, but to help him save them goals in the back as my defender, I've gone with Jaap Stam.
Cool.
Jaap Stam, part of the treble-winning team. And let's face it, if you're a striker running towards him, you're going to shit yourself because he just looks scary as hell, doesn't he? You know what I mean?
And he was phenomenal.
Yeah, he was phenomenal as well. Midfield, I've gone with Paul Gascoigne. I think Paul Gascoigne at Spurs, going to Lazio, and even up into Glasgow Rangers. I think what he could do, if he is similar to Ledley King, if he could just keep his head straight and stay off certain things that he was up to at the time, I think his career, the longevity of his career, could have been much, much more. And I just think that he inspired so many people in this country to become footballers that that in itself makes him phenomenal, and he was an awesome player. Up front, I'm taking one of your subs, Mr. Henry. I mean, I'm an Arsenal fan. He's, Arsenal top goal scorer, France's leading scorer up until Olivier Giroud, and that man, every time he got the ball, was just absolutely magical. He could keep. It was almost like it was glued to his feet at times. He was absolutely outstanding.
See, I didn't put him in because I think for five-a-side, he would have been too. Well, if five-a-side's more ball on the floor, hard, nitty gritty, and I think like Jaap Stam's and Thierry Henry running towards Jaap Stam in a five-a-side cage, then I think Jaap Stam would win 9 out of 10 times. But that was my reason for not starting him.
So my next forward then, based on that, you want someone nitty gritty on the ground, hard as nails, taking it towards Jaap Stam. I've gone with Alan Shearer.
Yeah, it's always going to be, weren't it?
He was just out of this world, wasn't he? He was just mustard. He could hit a ball from 30 yards.
Yeah. I couldn't pick him due to political reasons, but
political reasons.
Yeah, he left Blackburn and went to Newcastle.
Well, he was part of the famous SAS, wasn't he? Shearer and Sutton. Yeah.
So
it's so if any of my players got injured in the back, I would actually go really old school, and I would go with Dennis Irwin.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that earlier on, if I'm honest, but yeah, I can see that.
He was a leader, weren't he?
Yeah,
he was professional. He was not always getting the dirty challenges, red cards, yellow cards. He was good stuff, and he was an old school player and a gentleman. I think so. And also, again, quite biased, but Patrick Vieira.
Yeah, I'd go with that. I think the Gerrard Rooney. I put Scholes in initially, and then I thought he's not going to be able to pick out any 40-yard, 50-yard passes, so I took him out. Hence why I put Makelele in. But Vieira,
Patrick Vieira
is that
unbelievable?
Yeah,
unbelievable. So before we finish, Olim, just an honourable mention as well. So it's a shame hearing it on the way home from my weekend shenanigans is today, and you need a coach for your five-a-side team, and I think an honourable mention has to go to Terry Venables, who sadly passed away today. And the guy managed in England and in Spain, and he also managed the international team as well. And Terry Venables was a great coach, a great person, and it's sad to see him go. So an honourable mention to Terry Venables.
He did very career. Not, you know, some people. I don't think you'll see here management now.
No, not at all. So yeah, it's sad news, but you know,
it's not many that have been a top player and been a top manager.
No. So very sad, and rest in peace, Terry, or El Tel, as you're known in Spain. So that's mine for the week.
No, we'll have George. There'll be obviously a little bit less on because there's not as much different sports going on. It's not the golf season and things like that. So Jordan will give us probably a quick, maybe 10-minute rundown of the Formula One season. So
Sounds good.
Look forward to having him back, and I'll catch up with you next week.
Yeah, nice one. I'll catch you soon. Take care, mate.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's all we've got time for this week. Join us again next week, where we'll look back at the week's sport. And again, you'll get us on X and Instagram at SportscastPod UK.